The massive alien ship hung in space like a dark metal mountain. Inside its throne room, Commander Kim Tae-ho stood alone facing creatures that looked like nightmares. The aliens were twice as tall as any human with purple skin and 4 arms each, ending in sharp claws. Their eyes glowed red in the dim light, and when they spoke, their voices sounded like grinding metal. General Rockstar was the biggest of them all. His body was covered in scars from 1,000 battles across the galaxy. He had destroyed entire worlds and enslaved millions of beings. When he looked down at Tai-ho, he started laughing. The sound echoed through the huge chamber, making the other. "Aliens, join in. You are what Earth sends to negotiate with us," the general asked, still laughing. One tiny human in a simple uniform. "We expected at least a delegation or perhaps your leaders. Instead, they send us this small creature who looks like he could barely fight a child." Tae-ho did not react to the insults. He had faced worse things than alien mockery during his years as a Navy SEAL. He stood straight and calm while the aliens continued their jokes. His dark eyes studied every detail of the throne room, the positions of the guards, and the technology around him. The Emperor. Caxmore sat on a throne made from the bones of extinct species. His crown was carved from a metal that could cut through anything. When he spoke, the entire room fell silent. He was ancient even by alien standards and had ruled the Dominion Empire for over 3,000 years. "Little human," the Emperor said. In a voice that sounded like distant thunder, "Your world has been selected for conquest. You should feel honored. We have destroyed civilizations far more advanced than yours, species with energy weapons that could melt mountains, races with ships that could travel between galaxies in seconds. All of them fell before our might." Admiral Vexilon stepped forward, carrying a device that projected holograms in the air. The images showed massive alien fleets with ships longer than human cities, weapons that could crack planets in half, armies of cybernetic warriors that never felt pain or fear. Each image brought more laughter from the alien court. "Look at our power, human," the Admiral said, pointing to the displays. "We have conquered over 10,000 worlds. Our empire spans half the galaxy. Your entire planet could not build even one of our smallest ships. Your weapons are primitive. Your technology is laughable. What could you possibly do against us?" Tae-ho finally spoke. His voice was quiet, but it carried clearly through the chamber. "You show me your ships and weapons and armies. You tell me about the worlds you have conquered, but you have made one mistake. You assume that technology wins wars." The aliens laughed even harder at this. General Rockstar slammed one of his massive fists on his chair. "Technology does not win wars," he repeated mockingly. "Then what does little human? Your primitive missiles that move slower than our fighters. Your chemical explosives that could barely scratch our armor. Your soldiers who die so easily." Tae-ho looked directly at the general. His expression never changed, but something in his eyes made the alien stop laughing. "Will wins wars," Commander said. "Strategy wins wars. The refusal to surrender wins wars. You have technology, but you have forgotten how to fight against an enemy that will never give up." The Emperor leaned forward, interested despite himself. "You speak of will, human, but will means nothing when your cities burn. When your people are enslaved, when your world becomes just another conquest in our empire, what will can stand against our overwhelming power?" Dr. Park So-young was watching, from Earth through a hidden camera in Tae-ho uniform. She had been analyzing everything the aliens showed them. Their ships were powerful, but they all looked the same. Their weapons were advanced, but they followed predictable patterns. Their tactics had not changed in centuries because they had never needed to change them. Back in the throne room, Tae-ho continued speaking. "You have shown me your fleets, and I am impressed by their size. You have shown me your weapons, and they are indeed powerful. But you have also shown me your weakness. You fight the same way against every enemy. You rely on fear and overwhelming force. You have never faced an enemy like humans. "What makes humans so special?" asked Admiral Vexilon with amusement in his voice. "You are smaller than most species, weaker than most species. Your lifespans are shorter. Your technology is primitive. You have not even left your own solar system. What could possibly make you dangerous?" Tae-ho smiled for the first time since entering the throne room. It was not a pleasant smile. Humans have spent their entire existence fighting each other. We have perfected war over thousands of years. We have faced extinction dozens of times and survived every attempt. We adapt faster than any species you have ever encountered, and we have one advantage you will never understand. The Emperor was no longer amused. He had conquered too many worlds to ignore a threat completely. What advantage is that human, he demanded? When humans fight for survival, Tae-ho said, we become something else entirely. We stop being civilized. We stop following rules. We become the most dangerous predators in the universe. You want to conquer Earth. You want to enslave humanity. But you have just made the worst mistake in your empire-long history. General Rockstar stood up, his massive frame towering over the human. "Are you threatening us, little creature?" he growled. "Do you think your words frighten beings who have destroyed star systems?" Tae-ho looked up at the alien general without fear. "I am not threatening you. I am warning you. You came to Earth expecting another easy conquest. You will get the fight of your lives instead. You wanted to add humanity to your empire. You have just declared war on the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The Emperor made his decision. He was tired of this human insolence. 7 of your days, he announced. That is how long your species has to surrender completely. After that, we will demonstrate why resistance is futile. Your cities will burn. Your people will serve us or die. Your world will become another trophy in our collection." Tae-ho nodded once. 7 days, then. But remember this moment. Remember when you had the chance to leave Earth alone. Because after those 7 days, you will discover why every human child learns about war before they learn to read. You will learn why we have a saying on Earth. "What saying?" asked the Emperor, despite himself. Tae-ho turned to leave, but spoke over his shoulder. "If you want peace, prepare for war. If you want war, prepare for hell. And you, Emperor, have just chosen war. The aliens would soon learn that some choices cannot be undone." The moment Commander Kim Tae-ho stepped off the alien transport ship, Earth began to transform. His message had been broadcast to every nation on the planet. World leaders who had been enemies for decades suddenly found themselves working together. The threat from space had done what no human diplomacy could achieve. It had united the entire human race. President Chen in Beijing called President Johnson in Washington at 3 in the morning. Prime Minister Patel in New Delhi was already on a secure line with Chancellor Mueller in Berlin. Within hours, every major military leader on Earth was connected in the largest war council in human history. They had 7 days to prepare for the most important battle their species would ever fight. Dr. Park So-young had not slept since Tae-ho left for the alien ship. Her laboratory in Seoul was now the most important place on Earth. She had analyzed every second of footage from the alien throne room, every hologram they had shown, every weapon they had displayed, every ship in their fleet. The aliens had made a crucial mistake. They had shown off their technology to intimidate humanity. Instead, they had given Dr. Park everything she needed to defeat them. "The alien ships are massive," she explained to the assembled military commanders on the video screen. "But massive ships are slow ships. Their weapons are powerful, but they take time to charge and aim. Their shields can stop directed energy, but our analysis shows they have never encountered kinetic weapons traveling at the speeds we can achieve." Captain Lee Do-hyun was studying the fighter craft designs when Dr. Park highlighted a critical weakness. "Their ships all look identical," he said, suddenly understanding. "They use the same design for everything, the same shielding frequency, the same weapon systems, the same tactical programming." "Exactly. Dr. Park replied with excitement in her voice. They have been so successful for so long that they have become predictable. Every ship responds the same way to threats. Every weapon charges at the same rate. Every shield operates on the same frequency. We can use this against them. Ambassador Choi Hye-jin was working on a different kind of preparation. She was secretly contacting every space agency and satellite operator on Earth. The aliens expected to find a primitive world with basic technology. They would find something very different. Hidden throughout Earth orbit were thousands of small satellites that could be converted into weapons or surveillance devices. The really interesting part, Choi Hye-jin explained during a classified briefing, is that their sensors are designed to detect large energy signatures. They look for the kind of massive ships and weapons that other advanced civilizations use. Our smaller, more distributed technology might be invisible to them. In mountain bunkers and underground facilities across the world, human engineers were working miracles. The alien technology that Taeho had secretly recorded was being engineered at incredible speed. Russian scientists in Siberia were figuring out alien shield frequencies. American engineers in Nevada were adapting alien weapon designs. Japanese researchers in Tokyo were solving alien computer systems. But the most important work was happening in the minds of human military strategists. General Martinez in the Pentagon was developing tactics that had never been used in space. Colonel Singh in Mumbai was planning operations that would make the aliens question everything they thought they knew about warfare. Admiral Thompson in London was designing battles that would turn alien advantages into weaknesses. The aliens expect us to fight like every other species they have conquered, General Martinez explained to his staff. They expect large fleets meeting in open space, massive ships trading fire until one side is destroyed. They have no experience with guerrilla warfare in space. They have never faced an enemy that refuses to fight fair. Captain Lee Do-hyun was training pilots from every air force on Earth in new combat techniques. The alien fighters were faster and more heavily armed than anything humans had ever built. But human pilots had something no alien pilot possessed. They had grown up fighting other humans who were just as smart and just as determined as they were. Their pilots have never faced real opposition, Do-hyun explained to his new squadron leaders. They have spent centuries fighting species that surrendered quickly or used predictable tactics. Human pilots have been fighting each other for over a century. We know every trick. We have seen every strategy. We are better trained for air combat than any species in the galaxy. Dr. Park So-young made her most important discovery on the 5th day. The alien ships used a central computer system to coordinate their fleets. Every ship was connected to every other ship through a quantum communication network. It was designed to make their fleets perfectly coordinated and impossible to surprise. This is their greatest strength, she announced to the War Council, and it will become their greatest weakness. If we can access their network, we can turn their own coordination system against them. We can make their ships attack each other. We can feed them false information. We can coordinate our attacks better than they can defend. The preparation was not just technological. Every major city on Earth was being quietly evacuated. Millions of people were moving to underground shelters that had been built in secret over the past decades. The aliens expected to use civilian populations as hostages. They would find empty cities and hidden populations that could not be threatened. Ambassador Choi Hye-jin had been monitoring alien communications since their first contact. She discovered something that changed everything. The Dominion Empire was not as united as they pretended. There were conquered species throughout their territory that hated their alien masters. Some of them were secretly hoping for someone to challenge the Empire successfully. If we can prove that the Empire can be beaten, she reported to the Leadership Council, we might find allies throughout the galaxy, species that have been waiting for someone to stand up to the Dominion. Our fight for Earth could become a fight for galactic freedom. On the 6th day, Commander Tae-ho addressed the entire world. His message was broadcast in every language to every person on Earth. His words were simple. but they carried the weight of human history behind them. "We face an enemy that thinks we are weak," he said, looking directly into the camera. "They think our technology is primitive. They think our weapons are useless. They think we will surrender when we see their power. They are wrong about all of these things, but most importantly, they are wrong about what makes humans dangerous. We are not the strongest species in the galaxy. We are not the smartest. We do not have the best technology, but we have something that no other species has ever developed. We have the absolute refusal to accept defeat. We have spent our entire history fighting impossible odds and winning. Tomorrow, the aliens will discover why humans are the most dangerous species they have ever encountered." The seventh day dawned clear and bright across the Earth. In hidden bunkers and secret facilities, human forces were ready. Dr. Park So-Young systems were online and waiting. Captain Lee Do-Hyun pilots were in their modified fighters. Ambassador Choi Hee-jin had established contact with potential allies across the galaxy. Commander Tae-ho stood in the main command center, surrounded by the greatest military minds humanity had ever produced. Outside Earth orbit sensors were detecting the approach of the largest alien fleet ever assembled. The Dominion Empire was coming with everything they had. "They expect to find a primitive world that will surrender immediately," Tae-ho said to his assembled commanders. "Instead, they are going to get the fight of their lives. They wanted to add Earth to their empire. They are about to discover why that was the worst mistake they ever made. The war for Earth was about to begin, but it would not be the war the aliens expected." The Dominion Empire fleet dropped out of hyperspace like a storm of metal and death. Admiral Vexilon stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching Earth grow larger on the viewing screen. Behind him stretched the largest invasion force in the Empire history. 3,000 ships ranging from massive dreadnoughts to fast attack cruisers. Each ship carried enough firepower to level a continent. "This will be over quickly," the Admiral told his bridge crew. "The humans have had 7 days to consider surrender. When they see our fleet, they will realize resistance is hopeless. We will accept their surrender and begin the occupation immediately." But something was wrong. Earth was completely silent. No communications, no surrender broadcasts, no desperate pleas for mercy. The planet just sat there spinning peacefully as if nothing was happening. Even the most primitive species usually tried to negotiate when they saw a Dominion fleet. "General," Rockstar contacted the flagship from his battlecruiser. "Admiral, why are the humans not responding to our communications?" he asked with irritation in his voice. "Do they not understand what they are facing? Perhaps we should demonstrate our power by destroying one of their cities." Admiral Vexilon was studying his sensor readings with growing confusion. The humans had some orbital installations, but they looked primitive. A few space stations, some communication satellites. Nothing that could threaten even the smallest ship in his fleet. Where were their defenses? Where were their weapons? Where was their fleet? "Perhaps they have already evacuated the planet," suggested his tactical officer. "Some species abandon their homeworld rather than face conquest. The humans might have fled to their outer colonies." The Admiral shook his head. "Our intelligence shows humans have no colonies outside their solar system. They have barely explored their own neighborhood. No, this must be some primitive attempt at hiding. Begin the standard occupation pattern. Send scout ships to investigate their installations." 20 alien scout ships moved toward Earth orbit, expecting to find terrified humans waiting to surrender. Instead, they found something impossible. The human installations were completely empty, but they were also completely invisible to alien sensors until the scouts were almost on top of them. Scout leader Zachron was the first to report the strangeness. "Admiral," he transmitted back to the flagship, "these installations are using some kind of stealth technology. Our sensors cannot lock onto them properly, and there are no life signs aboard any of them." Before Admiral Vexilon could respond, Scout leader Zachron's ship simply vanished from all sensors. One moment it was there reporting on human installations. The next moment it was gone. No explosion, no distress signal, just empty space where a warship had been seconds before. Captain Lee Do-hyun was piloting the modified human fighter that had just destroyed the alien scout. His ship was so small and used such different technology that alien sensors could barely detect it. Dr. Park So-young had been right. The aliens were looking for large energy signatures and missing the small, fast ships that were actually dangerous. Target eliminated, Do-hyun reported to Earth Command over a communication channel the aliens could not intercept. Moving to secondary position. Their sensors cannot track us properly. We are invisible to them. Across Earth orbit, dozens of similar encounters were happening. Human fighters using stealth technology and kinetic weapons were picking off alien scouts one by one. The Dominion Empire was losing ships to an enemy they could not even see properly. Admiral Vexilon watched his sensor display with growing alarm. 19 of his 20 scout ships had vanished without a trace. The 20th was fleeing back toward. The main fleet badly damaged and unable to explain what had happened. "How can they be destroying our ships?" demanded General Rockstar over the communication link. "Their technology is primitive. Their weapons are chemical explosives. They should not be able to scratch our shields." Dr. Park So-young was watching the battle from her command center deep beneath Seoul. The alien shields were designed to stop energy weapons by dispersing the beam across a wide area. But kinetic weapons traveling at extreme speeds went right through the shields like they were not even there. "Their shields are useless against physical projectiles," she explained to the other scientists monitoring the battle. "A chunk of metal, traveling at 10% of light speed, has more kinetic energy than their strongest energy weapons. They have never faced this kind of attack before." Commander Tae-ho was coordinating the overall battle from a hidden command ship that looked like a small asteroid. Human engineers had spent the last 7 days converting mining equipment and construction vehicles into weapons of war. The aliens were looking for military signatures, but missing the improvised fleet that was actually fighting them. "Phase 1 complete," he reported to all human forces. "They cannot detect our ships, and their scouts are eliminated. Begin Phase 2. Let them see what they expect to see." Suddenly, Earth orbit filled with what appeared to be human warships. The alien sensors detected dozens of large vessels with powerful energy signatures. Admiral Vexilon smiled with relief. Finally, the humans were showing their true military strength. Now they could have a proper battle. "Excellent," he announced to his fleet. "The humans have revealed their forces. Standard attack formation. Prepare to demonstrate why no species can stand against the Dominion Empire." But the human ships were not what they seemed. They were empty cargo vessels with fake energy signatures broadcasting false sensor readings. Dr. Park So-young had created perfect decoys that would draw alien fire while revealing alien tactics and weapon capabilities. The alien fleet opened fire with devastating effect. Energy beams that could crack moons struck the fake human ships and destroyed them instantly. Admiral Vexilon watched with satisfaction as human vessel after human vessel exploded under alien bombardment. This was more like it. This was the kind of battle the Empire understood. "Look how easily their ships die," he announced to his crew. "Human technology is no match for Dominion firepower. Continue the bombardment until every human vessel is destroyed." But while the aliens were destroying empty decoys, the real human fleet was moving into position. Captain Lee Do-hyun led a squadron of stealth fighters directly toward the alien flagship. Their mission was not to destroy the massive ship. It was to deliver Commander Tae-ho and his special operations team directly onto the bridge. The alien shields that stopped energy weapons were useless against a small ship traveling at maximum speed. Do-hyun fighter punched through the flagship shields like they were made of paper and attached itself to the hull near the main command section. Tae-ho and his team of former Navy SEALs cut through the alien hull using equipment that looked primitive, but was actually perfectly designed for this specific task. Within minutes, they were inside the most protected ship in the Dominion fleet. The aliens had never faced borders before. Their ships were designed to fight other ships, not to repel infantry attacks. Tejo team moved through the corridors like ghosts, taking out alien crew members with silent efficiency. Dr. Park So-young had provided them with complete blueprints of alien ship design taken from the recordings of their first meeting. They knew exactly where to go and exactly what to destroy. Their mission was not conquest. It was sabotage. Admiral Vexilon was still congratulating himself on destroying the human fleet when his ship systems began failing one by one. Power fluctuations spread through the massive vessel. Communication arrays went offline. Weapons systems stopped responding. "What is happening?" demanded the Admiral as his bridge plunged into darkness. Engineering report immediately. But there was no response from engineering because Commander Tejo team had already reached the main power core. They placed explosive charges with the precision of experts who had practiced this exact scenario hundreds of times. The flagship explosion was visible from Earth, a massive ball of light that briefly outshone the sun itself. Admiral Vexilon died never understanding what had killed him. The most powerful ship in the Dominion fleet had been destroyed from the inside by a handful of humans with primitive weapons. General Rockstar watched the flagship die with growing horror. In seconds, he had gone from commanding a victorious fleet to staring at the wreckage of his most powerful ship. The humans had done the impossible. They had destroyed a Dominion dreadnought. Impossible, he whispered to himself. They are primitives. They have no advanced technology. How did they do this? Commander, Tejo voice came over the alien communication frequencies, clear and calm. General Rockstar, he said you wanted to see human military capability. That was just the beginning. Your empire has never faced an enemy like us. You came here for an easy conquest. You are going to get the war of your lives. The real battle was just starting. Emperor Caxmore received the news of Admiral Vexilon's death while sitting in his throne room on the Empire capital world. The loss of a single ship should not have mattered to a ruler who commanded 10,000 worlds. But this was not just any ship. It was the flagship of the Dominion fleet, destroyed by a species that barely had space travel. Impossible, the Emperor said, crushing the communication device in his massive clawed hand. Humans cannot have this capability. Our intelligence was perfect. They are primitives with chemical weapons and metal ships. They cannot have destroyed a dreadnought. But the reports kept coming in. Human forces were not just defeating Dominion. Ships, they were making them disappear. Small, fast vessels that appeared from nowhere struck with devastating precision, then vanished before alien weapons could target them. The humans were fighting a kind of war that no Dominion commander had ever seen. General Rockstar barely escaped the battle at Earth with half his fleet intact. When he reached the nearest Dominion base, his report made no sense to the Empire military leaders. Invisible ships, weapons that ignored shields, tactics that seemed to come from nowhere. They do not fight like any species we have encountered, the general explained to the Emergency War Council. They do not mass their forces for traditional battles. They do not target our strongest ships first. They strike our weakest points with perfect precision, then disappear before we can respond. The Emperor made a decision that would haunt the galaxy. He ordered the complete mobilization of the Dominion Empire. Every ship, every weapon, every warrior. The humans would be crushed with such overwhelming force that resistance would be impossible. "Bring me the destroyer fleet," commanded the Emperor. "Bring me the cybernetic legions. Bring me every planet-killing weapon in the Empire arsenal. I will lead this campaign personally. These humans will learn why the Dominion Empire has ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. While the Empire prepared for total war, Ambassador Choi Hee-jin was working on her own plan. The recordings of human victories against Dominion forces had been secretly transmitted to conquered worlds throughout the galaxy. For the first time in centuries, alien species were seeing the Empire defeated. The reaction was immediate and explosive. On distant worlds that had been enslaved for generations, rebellion began to spread. Species that had forgotten how to fight remembered their warrior traditions. Planets that had been stripped of resources started hiding weapons and supplies. Dr. Park So-young was monitoring these developments from her command center. The psychological impact of human victories was spreading faster than any physical attack could. The Empire's greatest weakness was not their technology or their tactics. It was their reputation for being unbeatable. They have built their entire civilization on fear, she explained to the Human War Council. Every species surrenders quickly because they believe the Dominion cannot be defeated. But we are proving that they can be beaten. That changes everything. Captain Lee Do-hyun was leading increasingly dangerous missions deep into Empire territory. Human stealth ships were appearing in systems that should have been impossible to reach. They struck military installations, supply depots, and communication centers, then vanished before reinforcements could arrive. The Empire was learning what every human military academy taught in basic strategy classes. An enemy that could strike anywhere at any time was more dangerous than an enemy with superior firepower. Human forces were turning the entire galaxy into a battleground where the Dominion could never feel safe. Commander Tae-ho had captured an alien transport ship and was using it to move freely through Empire space. His disguise was perfect because the aliens never expected humans to have the capability for deep space operations. He was gathering intelligence and coordinating with rebel groups across multiple systems. The breakthrough came when Tae-ho discovered the location of the Emperor's personal command ship. It was supposed to be the most secure vessel in the galaxy, protected by layers of shields and escorted by an entire fleet. But Dr. Park So-young had been studying Empire security protocols and found their weakness. They rely too much on technology, and not enough on thinking, she explained to Tae-ho over their secure communication link. Their security systems are designed to stop energy weapons and large assault ships. They have no protocols for dealing with a small infiltration team using captured alien equipment. The mission was suicide by any rational calculation. Tae-ho would have to penetrate the heart of the Empire fleet, reach the Emperor command ship, and somehow get face-to-face with the most powerful being in the galaxy. But rational calculation had never stopped Navy SEALs from completing impossible missions. Emperor Caxmore arrived at Earth with a fleet that blocked out the stars. 5,000 ships, including the most powerful weapons ever created by the Dominion Empire. Planet killers that could crack worlds in half. Reality bombs that could destroy entire solar systems. The Emperor was finished with subtlety. This ends now, he announced to his assembled fleet commanders. No more games. No more tactical nonsense. We will demonstrate to the galaxy what happens to species that resist the Dominion Empire. Earth will become an object lesson that will be remembered for 10,000 years. But Earth was no longer the same world the Empire had first encountered. 7 days of preparation had become months of total transformation. The planet that had once seemed primitive and defenseless had become the center of a galactic resistance movement. Dr. Park So-young had used the time to reverse engineer every piece of alien technology they had encountered. Human ships now had faster-than-light travel. Human weapons now had the power to destroy alien dreadnoughts. Most importantly, human tactics had evolved to counter every Dominion advantage. The Emperor ordered a demonstration of Imperial power. He selected a large asteroid in Earth's outer system and targeted it with a planet-killing weapon. The blast should have reduced the asteroid to dust and shown the humans their fate if they continued to resist. Instead, the weapon beam was reflected back at the Empire fleet by technology the aliens did not recognize. 3 Dominion ships were destroyed by their own planet killer. The Emperor watched in shock as human defensive systems turned his most powerful weapons against his own forces. Impossible, he whispered for the second time in his long reign. They cannot have developed countermeasures this quickly. They are primitives. How do they keep doing the impossible? Commander Tae-ho's answer came over the Empire communication frequencies. Emperor Caxmore, he said in a voice that carried across the entire fleet. You rule through fear and overwhelming force, but you have forgotten the most important rule of warfare. Your enemy gets a vote in how the battle goes, and humanity votes for your destruction. The Emperor felt something he had not experienced in 3 millennia: fear. These humans were not behaving like any species he had ever conquered. They were not impressed by his power. They were not terrified by his threats. They were treating the Dominion Empire like just another enemy to be defeated. The final insult came when Taeho managed to do what should have been impossible. He infiltrated the Emperor command ship using captured alien technology and human ingenuity. Security systems designed to stop armies were useless against a single infiltrator who understood exactly how they worked. The confrontation took place in the Emperor private chambers. Caxmore faced the human who had become the symbol of resistance against his empire. But Taeho had not come to fight. He had come to show the Emperor something that would change everything. The recording device projected images that made the ancient alien ruler step backward in horror, scenes from human history, every war, every battle, every time humanity had faced extinction and refused to surrender. The Emperor watched civilizations rise and fall while humans kept fighting, kept adapting, kept surviving. "This is what you are fighting," he told the Emperor quietly. "Not a primitive species that will surrender when threatened. The most dangerous predators in the galaxy. We have spent our entire existence learning how to kill things that are bigger and stronger than we are. You are just the latest." Emperor Caxmore finally understood what he had awakened. The Dominion Empire had declared war on a species that considered warfare to be the highest art form. They had threatened the survival of beings who had never lost a war they truly committed to winning. The Emperor made his final mistake. Instead of retreating and seeking peace, he ordered the complete extermination of humanity. Every ship, every weapon, every warrior in the Empire would be used to wipe out the human species completely. He did not realize that this was exactly what Commander Taeho had been hoping he would do. The Empire was about to commit everything they had to a battle they could not win against an enemy they did not understand. The real war was just beginning. The Galactic War entered a new phase when Dr. Park So-young made the breakthrough that changed everything. Working with captured alien technology, she had not only reverse-engineered their faster-than-light travel system, she had improved it. Human. Ships could now move through space faster than anything the Dominion Empire had ever built. The first test flight was piloted by Captain Lee Do-hyun in a modified human fighter. When he engaged the new drive system, his ship simply vanished from Earth sensors. 3 seconds later, he reappeared on the other side of the solar system, having traveled a distance that should have taken alien ships several minutes. "Impossible," Do-hyun reported with excitement in his voice. "The new system is not just faster. Than alien technology, it is smoother. No stress on the ship or pilot, no energy buildup that their sensors can detect. We can appear anywhere in the galaxy without warning." Within days, human forces were striking targets throughout the Empire territory. Supply convoys that had traveled the same routes safely for centuries suddenly found themselves under attack by ships that appeared from nowhere. Military bases that had never seen combat were destroyed before they could send distress signals. The psychological effect on Empire forces was devastating. Dominion commanders who had ruled star systems for generations suddenly lived in constant fear. Human ships could appear anywhere at any time. No target was safe. No position was secure. The invincible empire was being hunted by ghosts. Ambassador Choi Hae-jin had been secretly coordinating with resistance movements across the galaxy. The success of human attacks had inspired conquered species to open revolt. Worlds that had been enslaved for centuries were declaring independence and fighting their alien oppressors with desperate courage. "The rebellion is spreading faster than we anticipated," she reported to the Human Command Council. 17 systems have declared independence in the last week alone. Empire forces are being forced to fight on hundreds of fronts simultaneously. They cannot maintain control with their forces spread so thin. But the most important development was happening in the ranks of the Dominion military itself. Alien soldiers who had never questioned their empire supremacy were beginning to doubt. their cause. Reports of human victories were spreading through their communications networks despite attempts to suppress them. Commander Tae-ho had established a network of human special operations teams throughout Empire space. These small groups were not trying to conquer territory. They were targeting the Empire leadership structure. Generals who had never feared for their lives suddenly found themselves under attack in their own headquarters. The Empire military command structure began to collapse under the pressure. Orders took days to reach their destinations. Supply lines were constantly disrupted. Intelligence reports were often wrong or completely fabricated by terrified field commanders who were afraid to report the truth about human capabilities. General Rockstar was one of the few surviving senior commanders who had actually fought human forces. His warnings about human tactics were dismissed by Empire leaders who refused to believe that primitives could be so dangerous. "They do not fight like any species we have encountered," he repeated to anyone who would listen. "They adapt their tactics faster than we can counter them. They turn our own advantages against us. They seem to anticipate our moves before we make them." Dr. Park So-young had been studying captured Dominion military manuals and found the source of alien tactical predictability. The Empire had been so successful for so long that they had stopped innovating. Every battle plan followed the same basic pattern. Every response to enemy action was predetermined by military doctrine that had not changed in centuries. They have become victims of... The final confrontation takes place at the Empire's capital world, a massive fortress planet that has never been successfully attacked. Emperor Caxmore makes his last stand with the remnants of his most elite forces, but he's facing an enemy that has evolved far beyond what he first encountered. Commander Tae-ho leads the final assault, but this isn't the same man who stood alone in the alien throne room. He now commands human forces spread across the galaxy, supported by liberated alien species who see humanity as their champions. The tactical genius that once impressed a few alien observers now coordinates the largest military operation in Galactic history. Dr. Park So-young's technological innovations have given humanity weapons and capabilities that surpass even the Empire's most advanced systems. But the real victory comes from human adaptability and determination. Every setback has made them stronger. Every challenge has made them more creative. The Empire's final defeat is both devastating and merciful. Humanity doesn't seek to replace one tyrannical empire with another. Instead, they help establish a Galactic Federation based on cooperation rather than conquest. Ambassador Choi Hee-jin leads these efforts, turning former enemies into allies. Captain Lee Do-hyun's pilots become the guardians of this new galactic order, protecting trade routes and defending peaceful worlds. The same tactical skills that won the war now serve to keep the peace. Humanity has gone from being unknown primitives to becoming the galaxy's protectors. The story concludes with a powerful scene, the same alien throne room where humanity was. Once mocked, now serves as a memorial to all species lost to the Empire's tyranny. Commander Tae-ho stands where he once faced ridicule, but now he's surrounded by representatives from hundreds of liberated worlds. The final message is clear. Humanity didn't just win a war, they changed the galaxy forever. They proved that technological superiority means nothing against tactical brilliance, unbreakable will, and the refusal to accept defeat. The Empire laughed at a Navy SEAL and discovered why humans are the most dangerous species in the universe. The galaxy will never underestimate humanity again, and humanity will never let another species suffer under tyranny. The age of galactic empires is over. The age of galactic cooperation has begun. Protected by warriors who once promised, "You want war? We will give you war," and delivered on that promise completely.